Life After Divorce military series on this segment of It's Scary to Remarry. What's up, Brave Arts community? This is Sean Heineman, your premier pre engagement coach, back with another segment of It's Scary to Remarry, inspiring you to love fearlessly. Life After Divorce military series. I am excited about this because today's guest actually brought this to my attention, so it makes it that much better. And he's also from my hometown, the 216, Cleveland, Ohio stand up. So this is special to me. Brave Arts community, let's show some love to Moyo Mitchell. How are you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. It's great to talk to you.
Yes, for sure. We connected on fan base. Shout out to fan base. And we actually get a chance to make this happen. So I'm excited, man. So for those who might not know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
My name is Moyo Mitchell. I'm a veterans advocate. I operate in the veteran space here in Central Ohio, both nonprofit and for-profit. Um, I do veterans benefits. I advocate in the sense of educating the families and the communities on veterans issues, and hopefully at some point down the line, getting to the point of pushing legislation.
Nice. That's awesome, man. Yeah, because I hear you in some of the rooms and just some of the information you give is so informative. And so I'll have a description. I'll have this in a link below in the description about fan base and be able to connect with us on those platforms as well. So I want to jump into today's topic on this Life After Divorce military series. How did your military service shape the way you approached marriage, and how has divorce reshaped your identity since then?
So I grew up with a very fantastic view of life. Always looking at things in the brighter sense of things, and in the military, it kind of exposed you to the reality of life. So as far as things be a lot, life can be a lot rougher than the storybook endings of life.
Yeah.
So being in the military, excuse me, especially during the time frame that I was in from 2000 to 2008. So of course 9/11 happened while I was in. I was actually on a ship that was deployed when 9/11 happened, and just seeing the overall shift in the world as a whole kind of uh, it brought everything home all at once as far as how fleeting life can be. And after experiencing that, you kind of look at even relationships through the lens of, hey, we're here now, but where do I want to be? Because this could end at any given time. It's not the pretty, as I said, storybook view of life, but a very real, pragmatic approach to things.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Got you. And so, military life teaches resilience. What lessons from service helped you navigate divorce, and what lessons didn't transfer as easily?
Now, one of the lessons that did not transfer as uh, well as I would have hoped is um, the expectation. So when you're in the military, you're there for a finite amount of time, and that when you go through divorce, the idea is that it should never end. That this is something you sign up for, and it's supposed to go on infinitely, air quotes. But the reality of life is that, you're dealing with two different people with two different um, grooming as far as how they became adults to where they are when they met. They may have different understandings of things, and the ability to kind of navigate those nuances can be difficult. Uh, and sometimes those difficulties become insurmountable. So, um, going through a divorce and then realizing that this is a phase, um, as far as that marriage ending, that you have not ended. and that who you are is not defined by your marriage, even though it is part of the definition of who you are. That part ending, re-envisioning who you are, and then re-envisioning who you want to be after going through that experience, positive, negative, and neutral. What can I take from this, and how can I transfer that and be a better version of myself moving forward?
Yeah. How many years were you married?
I was married for 10 years.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. Wow. And so was she in the military too, or no?
she was not. She went to high school with me,
Mm,
and years later, we started dating, and then got married and had two beautiful children. Um, I very early in the divorce process made a conscious decision that I would view the lessons that I learned as my lessons, and not putting those things on her. These are things that, decisions that I made. I decided to propose to her. I decided, the course of things in the sense of what I directed things to, and us not working out doesn't define her as much as it defines the decisions I made and how I let those things play out.
yeah, because I think going through divorce, I think sometimes people their whole identity, it gets wrapped up in
Hmm.
years and years of marriage, and then once you are divorced, it's like just trying to unravel that and trying to find yourself again, man. That can
Hmm.
present a challenge because obviously you weren't the person who you married originally, opposed to the years and the time that went by, right?
Absolutely not. One thing that marriage taught me was that who I was as a single man was not who I was as a husband, is not who I was as a father. So having to relearn those aspects of myself that I didn't even realize existed was difficult, but it was a growth process. I believe that I grew from it. I believe that I grew to be a greater version of myself, and that through those lessons, it prepared me to be that father that I had my father in my life, but learning his lessons because now I'm talking to him as another father as opposed to a man.
Yeah, those different conversations when we are both, you got kids, you're like, oh,
Hmm.
yeah. And so we talk about fathers. So, as a single dad, how did your parenting style shift from military structure to civilian life at home?
So my kids are amazing. First of all, let me say that um, I am tough on my kids, but any of their shortcomings as a human being, of course,
Yeah.
is minuscule in comparison to the larger picture of who they are and who they continue to become. Um, I I'm rigid, but with flexible corners, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I'll approach things and then this is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to happen. But at the same time, understanding that this is an 8-year old, this is a 12-year-old. Their understanding of life is limited by what they've been exposed to and some of the hardships that I faced as a child and where I grew up is not something they have any concept of, which was the goal to begin with. So lessons I had to pick up on just virtue of the exposure of the environment I was in. This is not a hardship that they've had the opportunity to learn from. So I can't expect me from them. I can only expect the best version of them from them.
Yeah. And I like that, man. Here's my struggle though, because
Hmm.
I'm like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll be thinking, we have the best generation. We grew up, we turned out good. We might have
Hmm.
had some traumatic experience. But we turned out good. But the
Hmm.
challenge is, like you said, is for your children to allow your children to be who they are,
Hmm.
even though you will have an impact on them, but to allow their individuality, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's rough, man, because and I'm sure previous generations had their version of the same thing.
Mhm.
Um, they they went through their hardships of their eras, and like we. I went through growing up in a neighborhood that went through what people refer to as white flight. It was a, East Cleveland. So East Cleveland, it used to be where black people were shunned for being there. They went to like an all
Mm-hmm.
black neighborhood. But when I grew up, it was community still. Then going to the point where the crack epidemic took over our entire neighborhood. We saw things that we should never have had to experience.
Yeah.
And now my kids, they visit where I'm from and they have no understanding other than, well, this is where grandma lives. They have
Yeah.
no idea the things that would regularly happen in that environment, and they shouldn't have to experience. They shouldn't have to know that. It's my job to protect them from some of the harsh realities while exposing them to a version that allows them to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And sometimes even that can be a struggle where, because you want them to have a better life, but at the
Hmm.
same time, it's like they need to have their adversities. They need to have their own challenges. We can't save them from everything, um,
Hmm.
and so that's kind of I know that I struggle with that sometimes. So I'm like, man, we're in a decent neighborhood, and these kids they don't know nothing about 55th down.
No, they have no idea of what really went on. And but so they're going to go through their version, like for example, the internet has been a thing, right? But I remember when the internet was brand new to the people I was around, and I had, my mother bought me a computer. She had no plans of ever learning a computer as a nurse. She thought that, she would have been retired by the time computers became a normal thing, and that turned out not to be the case. But she bought me a computer as a teenager, so I was on a computer in the mid '90s. I was
Mm,
on AOL, listening to that, that modem making all those noises in the '90s. But these kids grew up where everything's interconnected in the whole world. You
yeah.
can, in real time, as you know, on Fanbase, talk to people in a foreign country in real time, have a conversation with them. That's not something we can even conceptualize growing up. So there are difficulties um, through that interconnectivity that they'll face that we wouldn't even had to even think about navigating.
Hmm. That's true. Yeah, and yeah, because their world is totally different from ours, man.
Mhm.
Totally different. We actually played outside, uh,
Yeah,
and didn't want to go in the house.
nope. But I will say, my kids,
Uh,
as much as they're computer and iPhone and iPad kids, my kids also love to go fishing, love to do stuff outside, ride their bikes. Don't get me wrong, they'll ride their electric scooters, but 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 they'll go outside and play. They'll
yeah.
go outside, and my son wants to go hunting now. Um, I haven't had a chance to take him yet, but they they want to do those things. They're scouts, they're out here in the elements and just doing stuff, and always have been. But to me, that was part of my job to present um, more than what I experienced.
Yeah.
So present them with the country life, present them with the city life, present them
Hmm.
with um, my kids were riding a horse. Um, well, today's Monday. Yesterday,
Hmm.
um, that's not something I ever experienced, but they are around it now in ways that I had never even imagined growing up. So now they'll go out into the world with these experiences that they'll take with them, and now be able to have those conversations with people about things that it took me into my 40s to even learn about.
Hmm. Yeah. Same here. Yeah. Welcome to the club. For sure. In the military, you had a strong brotherhood. So after divorce, where did you find community and emotional support?
So I will say that I have some really good friends that some had been through divorce, some one that was going through a divorce right prior to mine, and I didn't understand the things that he was saying then about the dynamic with his now ex-wife. I'm like, no, you guys need to work it out. Like, it's not that simple. When you all have decided to part ways, or one of you has decided to part ways, it's a little more difficult than just quote working it out. But having friends who have been on the different phases of the divorce experience gave me kind of a sounding board to
Mm,
kind of vent to and to express those feelings that I was having but also to kind of bounce those thoughts back to me so I can reconsider what I was saying and what I was thinking and how I was feeling, and say that is this how I feel right now, or is this truly what I believe and what I think?
That's yeah, that could be challenging because I know when I was going through my divorce, I had some friends, one of my homeboys in particular, a good friend. He was just like, "Hey, man, let's just go kick it, man. Let's just get our mind off of this stuff."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Man, I don't know. I was so used to, you know, being married." He's like, "Man, we good. Let's go do some stuff." But it can present its challenges, and especially starting over, man. Starting over, like going through a divorce and trying to get to know people and getting back. I was married for 15 years, so it was a totally
Hmm.
different world when I had to start over.
Completely different.
Yeah, you had 10 years, so yeah, you like what's going on out here?
It's completely different. Completely different.
For sure, man, for sure. What was the hardest part about balancing military culture with the reality of co-parenting?
It So my ex-wife, I'll phrase it as she is not a bad person. So
Yeah,
this is the structure of it. She's not a bad
yes,
person.
for sure.
Um, but I talked about earlier, different people growing up in different ways, having different experiences, how they look at that parenting experience, how they look at the marital experience. At some point, we begin to clash because there were expectations that she had that I didn't agree with, and vice versa. And to me, you know, my word is my bond. So if I say this, this is what I'm going to do one way or another. If I fail at it, it's because I failed at it, not because I didn't mean it exactly as I meant. Um, the expectations that my now ex-wife had um, didn't jive with that kind of structured military experience in the way that I thought about things as almost linear, where there are zeros and ones. She looked at more as, you know, zeros through 1 through 10, and A through Z are all factors, and it allowed me to kind of rethink about, like, okay, well, since I know there are other ways of looking at things now, even though I believe this is the correct way, I'm now more aware of other ways that other people are considering things outside of kind of my rigid thought process. And mind you, this is after um, a lot of counseling and therapy as well.
Yeah. I mean, hey, therapy is a beautiful thing, right? I mean,
Hmm.
hey, and it
A good
unlocks.
therapist,
Huh?
a good therapist that fits you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very important. That fits you. Yeah, because I've had
Hmm.
some ones uh, that, yeah, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna go back to them anymore. It's just, you know,
As have I.
yeah.
Yeah.
But some of them, they pull on your heartstrings. They challenge you, and they open up your eyes to some things. I was talking to a male therapist I had, and he was telling me, he was like, "Sound like you have mommy issues," and I was like, "Who, me? Oh, I ain't got mommy issues. I'm good, dude." Man, dude read my mail like he was the mailman himself. I was just like,
Carmelone's giving you therapy.
Carl Malone, man. I was struggling.
Hmm.
And but I'm glad that he said that to me because I realized, okay, here are some things that I need to address and unpack in my personal life so that way, you know, um, I know when I'm triggered because mommy
Hmm.
issues, not because of my wife per se,
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
uh,
I had a male therapist, a black male therapist at one point. He asked me, "Do you want to be right or do you want to be married?" And I thought that was the most obscene thing that anyone could ever say to me. Like, do I want to be right or do I want to be married?
ooh,
No, right is right and wrong is wrong. What are you talking about? And it took me a long time and some time with another therapist later on to understand what he meant. Like the energy that you're focusing on being right because it's right, is it really worth it? What is your actual goal? Is your goal to make this work or to prove that you are right? So it wasn't so much about right and wrong as much as what it was about um, being accepting that someone may see something differently. And even though you may think and feel and factually be correct, is this worth this fight right now? And what is the downstream effect of that on your relationship? Are you causing harm trying to do the right thing?
Man, so good. Do you want to be right or do you want to be married?
It still bothers me, by the way. Just, but I understand the message that he was giving.
Yeah, for sure. And here's the thing about marriage: if one person is winning, the marriage loses.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. It's like, yeah, you
Well,
can
and
walk. Yeah, like you gonna walk away with your chest poked out, like yeah, but you just left your teammate.
hmm because you are teammates at the end of the day. Like, oh yeah, well you missed that shot. Like, yeah, well now you're not helping by saying that. You may be correct, but are you actually helping y'all dynamic so you can win together? Because if one of you loses, you both lose.
Yep, yep. Because you can put up 63 points a night, and if y'all losing,
Hmm.
that don't mean nothing.
Nobody wants to be the MVP of a losing team.
Ooh, I know, right?
Just saying.
That's good. That's good. Oh, dang, that's a bar. How did you help your kids adjust to divorce? How did they go through it? I know they're younger, so they probably were babies during that time, huh?
Well, I would say that they're still adjusting, honestly.
Gotcha.
Um, I, I very intentionally remain extremely open to any conversations that come up.
Mm,
Just recently, my daughter asked me, well, why did you let mom divorce you? And I'm like, I didn't have an answer for that because, like, how do I? Because I'm never going to put down my ex-wife. I'm just never going to do it. I refuse.
for sure.
But how do I answer this question in such a way that doesn't sour her relationship with her mother, but also is honest? And to be honest, this question came up maybe 2 weeks ago now,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't given her a solid answer. Um, and I didn't want to do the whole, well, you go ask your mom,
Yeah.
because that's putting it right back in the same wheelhouse of um, throwing it on her.
Yep.
The best I could tell her was that that things didn't work out, but I need my daughter to understand that we're still solid. I don't have any hate for her mother, my son as well, obviously. That as I move on with my life, and I'm at the point where I have asked a young lady to marry me, another one, obviously, that my daughter, my son's place in my life hasn't diminished at all. Because at some point, little kid logic, she was like, okay, you're going to leave and then you're going to start over and you're going to forget about us. I'm like, I could never forget about you. And I still have her um, heartbeat from an ultrasound on my phone.
Oh wow.
So I played it for her like, this has been my phone since before you were born. And to her brother, I'm like, I still have an email address that I created, when before he was born, where I would email him pictures and messages or whatever before he was born. Like, this is forever. You are forever. You will always be my kids.
Yeah.
No one could ever replace you. Adding to our family doesn't mean that you're moving out. We're just growing and expanding. And our dynamic is and always will be what it is.
Yeah. 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 I hear you because I know my daughter, man. She asked me that question when I was going through my divorce. She was four, 14. Teenager. Like, oh my god. And I was just like,
It hurts,
I
don't
told
it?
her, man. I was telling her, she was like, ask me those same questions, right? Same questions. And I was telling her, I said, when you get a little older, we can have those conversations, right?
Hmm.
Just, just know, it didn't work between. And I love what you said. You won't talk negative about your ex-wife, and I love that. And I tell people, I won't talk bad about my ex. I won't put her on blast on social media, on none of that stuff. I'm like, nope. I married her. She didn't put a gun in my head.
Hmm.
you know. So what that make me looking like talking bad about the woman I chose to marry?
Exactly.
You know, what does
And
that
they
say about me?
and they share half of her DNA. So what am I saying about them if I'm saying something negative about her? Like who
Hmm.
am I? And I took that from my mother. Honestly, my mother never talked bad about my dad my whole
Mm-hmm.
life. Right.
Mm-hmm.
My dad and I relationship, it's been what it was, but
Yeah.
I've never looked at him through a negative lens from my mother, and anything from us is just his and our relationship. And he's still my kid's grandfather. He's still
Mm-hmm.
my dad. He had some medical issues. I drove back up to Cleveland uh, to check on him because he's still my dad. But
Mm-hmm.
but I need to be here for him, and I need to be here for them, and I need to be there for my soon-to-be wife as well. So I
Yeah.
need to navigate all of those relationships in a healthy way to make sure that I'm doing my part.
Wow. Yeah. So you have a date. Y'all have a date when no.
No, this is as recent as what is today? I don't know. Today the days kind of get mixed up. Today,
I
um,
get it. I believe it. My date be off.
this is as of yesterday.
Oh wow. Well,
Yeah,
congratulations, man.
thank you.
That's what's
Yeah,
up. Yeah.
I started going to church just under 2 years ago now.
Hmm.
Never really gone to church my whole life. Not that was like against going to church. I just didn't grow up in the church.
Got you.
So I started completely fresh at 44 years old, and um, being around the people there and the messages that I received from the Bible there, it's kind of reinvigorated how I see the world and see people, and the limitations that people just naturally have. They're out of their control, and the ones that we can control. So focus on what I can control versus the things out of my control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good, man. Because I was gonna ask you, because one of the very reasons for this platform is, to help people be okay with loving again. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Because there's some people they like, nope, that happened. I will never get married again.
That was me.
Mm.
So my now fiance have to get adjusted to the terminology. Um, that was something that I'd said to her early on, and we were friends before. We used to work together, so I knew her through the lens of a former coworker and friend. She hates the phrase former coworker. I like to pick at her, but um, I knew her through that lens. Knew me through that lens. But but post divorce, that was one of the things that I said then, and I realized at some point that it was coming from a place of hurt. It wasn't really who I am. Like I was truly raised to be someone's husband
Mm-hmm.
and to be someone's father and to be someone active in the community from the beginning. So as I kind of thought about what I had been saying, it really went away. And she's pointing out to me, but I'll throw it back at her like you felt the same way before. But that's just the kind of friendly banter. She's an Army veteran, so I'm a
Mm.
Navy veteran. It's my job to pick on her. She's a Steelers fan too, so
Oh,
obviously she isn't perfect.
oh man, I don't know how y'all gonna do it for the
I know,
season. Like, what does that look like in your house?
I know. Army, Navy, and Browns and Steelers. Oh, it's tough, but
Oh yeah, we're gonna pray for you. We're gonna.
I need it.
Jeez. Yeah, congratulations, man. I like to hear that. I
Thank
like
you.
to hear that for sure. Many veterans struggle with isolation and mental health. So, how did you protect your emotional well-being while adjusting to single fatherhood?
So one of the blessings that's been bestowed on me is once I entered the veteran space in general. Like I was a veteran, but I didn't know anything about military outside of the military, as far as
Mm-hmm.
the relationships in the veteran community.
Mm-hmm.
Someone convinced me to join the Disabled American Veterans at DAV. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I was one of the youngest people there, and it's extremely uncomfortable when you're one of the youngest or you're an outlier in any capacity.
Yep.
But once I really kind of understood what these organizations are for
Mm-hmm.
and what they do, um, you can see the commercials all day, but
Yep.
our chapter actively is in the community, picking up medical equipment, donating medical equipment, um, trying to facilitate people. to get access to benefits,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing the work that excuse me, that people are already doing. um, it kind of gave me that sense of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids have been around it now, my daughter her whole life, but
Wow.
between the church, the veterans organizations, and other nonprofits that I participate in, like we brought horses out to a church event through a relationship that we developed with a lady who is a capital city equestrian here in Columbus, and she
Mm.
wants to give people in the community access to horses to kind of get them accustomed to that environment. Like, hey, there are other things that exist outside of your existing environment that you can participate in if you knew they existed. So volunteering kind of gave me that it's more than me, it's a we thing.
Yeah.
And by doing so, I it just kind of took me back to like a military thought process of it's more than just me, it's we.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good, man. Yeah, giving back to the community, so important, man. I think so many people, overlook that. And like you were saying, with your daughter being, just helping you during that time, it's those memories. It's going to be that impact on her life. Who knows, how this is going to impact her 10 years from now.
Hmm.
You know, um, my wife and I, we do vending events. She writes children's books. We have two boys with autism, and so we big autism advocates, and so we'll bring our boys with us, and I like for them to have that exposure, So my
Hmm.
son, he gets to, they both. My wife wrote a book about both of them. They don't have their own individual books. So when people buy their books, especially our 10-year-old, they were like, "Can you sign it?" And he signs the little books or whatever and stuff. So I'm like, man, those memories be cool, man. You just never know what those memories can produce in them years from now.
Absolutely.
You
My
know.
son, there was a family that donated a lift chair, so one of those chairs that will help you stand up.
Mm,
And this was I had back surgery almost a year ago now. Well, my son now is big enough to where he helped me pick up the chair and put it on the trailer. We took our pictures, but like them doing things for other people is so normal that
mm,
they don't second guess it. Like, oh yeah, we're doing this. Well, someone needs help, so we're helping them.
yeah.
And just seeing them, get engaged at the church and get engaged in other activities, they're just all in. He was actually leading horses around for the other kids, um, and he's only been around horses a little bit, but he's like, oh, this is what we're doing, so this is what we're doing. And they
Mm,
were helping the other kids to get acclimated to the horses we brought to the church.
yeah.
And it's just a normal thing to him that this is what we do because we can.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that, man. I love seeing the youngsters serve, man, and being helpful and resourceful, man. I love it. Last question: what advice would you give to other divorced veterans or single military dads who are trying to rebuild their lives?
I would say find people who are healthy in mind and are doing things that you value, whatever that may be. So let it be water sports, let it be shooting events, let it be camping, let it be book reading, let it be church, let it be whatever. Find someone or someone's they're doing things that are being productive, and then have those conversations with those men especially, so you can kind of glean from their experiences and their knowledge. Again, like I said, healthy people.
Yes.
There's plenty of people who are in a bad place. Don't become one of them because of the anger. The anger is going to be there. And honestly, a lot of us turn it in on ourselves because we feel like we failed.
Mm,
Just the mistakes happened, learn from them. Whatever the mistake may be, it could be you view it as the person you picked to marry was the wrong person. It could be that you did something in your marriage or someone else did someone in your marriage. None of that matters except for the lesson. It's already happened.
yeah.
Don't just dwell on it. Grow from it. Make
Mm,
sure that this is not a mistake that you make again, whatever you view as a mistake.
yeah. Yeah. Community is so important, man. I know we live in these individualism, by today's standards. We just always got our face in our phones, and we could be driving down the street and open a garage door and don't even say hi to our neighbor because the door already open. We just drive up and we ain't got to deal
Hmm.
with people. So yeah, community is very important. In 2025, it is still important.
It is.
Moyo, thanks again for being a guest, man. Let us know all your information, any events coming up, anything that yeah, tell us just what you got going on, man.
Well, I'll tell you. You can start with fan base because I'm gonna give a shout out to fan base.
Shout out to fam.
Come over to fan base. Um, Check us out in the audio rooms. Have the conversations with real people. Find the places that you see value in. Um, you can find me at mitchthevet.com. You can find me on the other social medias, but honestly, start there. Start a fan base just because. Honestly, if it's nothing else but to just check it out, start there, and then find your community there and everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because fan base is community driven. I do tell people it is community for real. You find your people and you rock with them. I see you in a room, we're going there. You
Hmm.
know, so yeah, it's definitely community. Well, Bravehearts community, you heard it here. So go connect with Moyo on fan base. I'm there as well. Some phenomenal people there. I'll have all that linked in the description. And so if you are watching this via YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, share this with a friend. You never know who needs this information. If you are listening to this via podcast, make sure you leave a rating and review. By doing so, I'll put you in a drawing for a free Amazon gift card. Who doesn't like free stuff? So this has been a phenomenal episode. This is Sean Heineman with my special guest, Moyo Mitchell. And we are out.